to Ghana to develop this resource that you have.
Yeah.
And that will enable, we hope, first oil to be achieved in record-breaking time, really, very fast-track development to try and produce first oil by the end of next year. And you therefore need to bring in the skills. You will find a lot of Scottish accents around.
Yes.
And, people come in from the North Sea, and that's an example. You know, in 10 years' time, you will find a lot of Ghanaians, maybe working in the North Sea, maybe in the Gulf of Texas. So these people coming in are a resource that are being used to the benefit of the early development of Ghana's own resources. And likewise, outside companies are able to raise the money to deploy the expertise. Tullow brought in the rig, the Eric Rauder, which is a state-of-the-art, fantastic facility, and is doing a tremendous job. And the technical challenges are huge. From that rig, the drill goes down through 2 miles of water and then through another mile of rock before you reach the oil. Wow. And to do that with pinpoint accuracy is a phenomenal achievement, and is where the oil industry has got to. And you need people with the right skills to manage that. It's not an easy task. Yeah. The rig is not moored. It just sits there, and the ocean has to be kept in exactly the right place. Which is why that rig, I'm told, costs around $1 million a day
just
to run. And when you think that rig is going to be there for about 18 months before any oil is produced, you can do the sums. That's a big investment. You're looking at something like half a billion dollars before any revenue comes in. Now, the Ghanaian state could try and find that money, but the private sector here will do it for you. And then the revenue that's produced will be shared, as in the UK. And the state in the UK made sure that we got a fair slice of the revenues that come in. I'm told over the years since 1968, the UK industry has generated something like $230 billion, and about 50% of the revenue came to the government overall. I've got many different ways, and obviously it varies over time because the companies, if they've invested huge sums, as I was suggesting, need to make the money back. So you need something that is fair for both, and that's perfectly possible to find. And there are examples from around the world, and that I know GNPC have been looking at and learning from. I mean, if you make the regime too tough for the business, they won't come and invest, and you won't be able to get access to the oil. If you make it too lax, then the people of Ghana lose. Now, there's a balance that can be found.
Yeah. Given that you come from a country that has experience with this sector, do you feel like largely we are doing the right things?
Yeah.
Are we doing the things to ensure that for Ghana as well, this turns out to be the real engine to modernize and bring this country to development?
I think Ghana is doing a very good job at developing its industry, but to some extent the jury is still out. There's no revenue yet come in. On the other hand, you have created an environment where foreign companies seem willing to come and invest. And you see Tullow, in Anadarko, in other companies that are pouring in to look for the opportunities. The Ghanaian government has taken time to look at examples from elsewhere, and I know they've been to the UK, they've been to Norway, they've been to Trinidad and Tobago, which has a similar kind of setup here. That's very wise, to look at examples from other countries. And they have the experience of Nigeria as well. I would advise going there to see, what has worked and what's not worked.
What has not worked,
so gaining that experience from around the world. There are two big risks, and I think both are being addressed, but you need to keep constant attention. The first is the risk of haste. You're so desperate to get the oil as quickly as possible, you cut corners or you strike deals that aren't good in the long run. Now, the companies are as keen to develop first oil as swiftly as the Ghanaian government does, and that's fine. It means very hard work for everybody, and it means the government keeping up itself with what is going on. And if it takes too long to process some of the decisions, too long to put in place, the whole thing will slow down. So the Ghanaian government has set itself a cracking pace, and it has to keep up with that. The second thing is transparency. And transparency is vital in any sector, and particularly in the oil sector. And that is in many ways your best guarantee against things going off the rails. And there are stories from other African countries of the Minister of Petroleum sitting there looking at the tankers come in and out of the port saying, one for the company, one for the government, one for me. One for the company, one for the government, one for me. You don't want that situation. And that can be remedied through applying the rules that exist now in the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, EITI. And there are experiences from other countries of how to put in place sufficiently transparent regulatory structures that people can see where the money goes, the companies can see what's going on in the government, the people can see what's going on. That's very important to have that transparency because it'll inspire confidence on the part of the people. Throughout Ghana, particularly in the western region, they want to know where is this oil money going, and the government has to be able to have an answer for them. And likewise from the investors, from the business, they'll say, here is a government we can trust. When they say they're going to do this, they do it, and we can see what's happening, and we can see where the money we're paying is going.
Yeah. Do you think that the people of the Western region, I mean, is there some benefit to being close to the oil?
Yes, there is. Aberdeen is the capital of the Scottish oil industry, and it is now a prosperous town. It is well run locally. That's very important. So the local government there, the town council, learnt how to use the oil industry existing there to the benefit of local people. They get some revenue, of course. They get some revenue from the companies who are operating out of there, but they use it well to develop their infrastructure and to train their people. But you can't force people into these kind of jobs. The companies have to be free to choose people who are capable of doing the job.
That's the
you
thing.
can't say, you know, you must employ 10 people from this village, whatever. Okay, if those people are capable of doing the job, absolutely. But they need to be, the local authorities can do their bit in developing the infrastructure and helping train the people so that they can benefit from the industry that exists there. But you can't stop people coming in from outside because that will choke off the industry itself.
So they will benefit anyway because